Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing absolutely well. Guys, in this video we are going to prepare for GenC interview. Okay, so if you are also going to appear for your GenC interview, you know that there are three roles basically based on your performance. Okay, so in this video we will be covering technical interview questions which are very important when it comes to GenC interview. The types of questions that you will get and how you have to answer that. So basically in this video I have taken questions as well as answers. Okay, I have not taken very in detailed answer, but I have guided you at what point you need to answer in which way, and wherever needed I have also suggested you that you have to search for that question over the internet and prepare for that in detail. Okay, so once you will watch the video you will understand everything. Make sure to watch the video till complete end, otherwise you might miss on some important interview questions that can arise in your GenC interview. Okay, before we start the video, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet, as I regularly upload these kinds of helpful videos on my channel related to off-campus drives, placement preparation material. There is a complete playlist that I have created for Cognizant GenC preparation. Already a lot of interview experience and preparation material I have posted in this playlist. Make sure to check that too. Let's start with today's interview questions. Let's look at this question that we have. What are different types of storage specifiers in C? So let's see what is the answer for this question. So there are basically four types of storage specifiers. First one is your auto storage class specifier. The default storage class for local variables, meaning the variable is created when the block is entered and destroyed when the block is executed. Okay. Next is your static storage class specifier. The variable retains its values between function calls and is initialized only once. Next is your external storage class specifier. It refers to a variable or function defined in another file or function. Next is your register storage class specifier. It suggests to the compiler that the variable should be stored in CPU register for faster access. Let's move on to the next question. What do you mean by process and thread? Okay, this is a question from operating systems. Let's see. Process is an active instance of a program that resides in memory while it is executing. It is independent and has its own memory space. Whereas thread is the smallest unit of execution within a process. Multiple threads can exist within a process, sharing the same memory and share resources but performing different tasks. Okay, so guys, these types of questions from different subjects you can expect. Okay, so guys, before we move on to the next question, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so that you don't miss any important updates going forward. Let's see the next question that we have. What is a class? Okay, so again, class is a blueprint or template that defines the properties and behaviors. Behaviors are what? Methods of objects. It encapsulates data and functions that work on data. Access modifiers that we have are public, private and protected. So public means what? Members can be accessed from outside the class. Private means what? Members cannot be accessed directly from outside the class. And protected means what? Members can be accessed within the class and derived objects. Okay. Now guys, I just want to tell you that these are not the only possible answers for these questions. You can answer it according to you also. So see, class is one of the concepts from OOPS, right? So you can answer it in your own language also. Okay, the main aim of providing this answers is so that you get some material to speak about. Okay, and you will not be having short of content. So when you will be sitting in an interview and if you get the same question, then at least if you don't have any words, so you will remember at least what you have, what you are reading now or what you are studying now, right? So let's now move on to the next question. What is static and dynamic building? Okay, so we have two types of binding basically. So static binding and dynamic binding. So static binding is also called as early binding. The method of function call is resolved at compile time. It is a process of binding a function call to the function definition during compilation. Dynamic binding is also called as late binding. The method of function call is resolved at runtime. This is often used with polymorphism where the method being called is determined at the execution time. Okay, so this is mainly what is static binding and dynamic binding. Moving on. What are the types of inheritance? So we have a concept of inheritance in OOPS, right? So there are different types of inheritance. Let's see one by one. First one is your single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-path inheritance, hierarchical inheritance and hybrid inheritance. Now guys, you are expected that you should know a basic like one paragraph or two sentence answer of these all types of inheritance. You should basically know what every inheritance is and what happens in that. So but I have not included all of that detail here. I have just included the types of inheritance. Okay, let's move on to the next question now. What do you mean by polymorphism? Okay, so again a OOPS based concept. So you can see OOPS is heavily asked. Okay, so polymorphism is the ability of an object to take many forms. It allows a function or operator to behave differently based on context. Okay, now you can also explain polymorphism in this way. Okay, so the word polymorphism itself is created from two words, that is poly plus morphism. Okay, plus morphism. Now poly means what? Many, and morphism means what? Forms. Okay, so polymorphism is what? Polymorphism is the ability of an object to take many forms. Okay, so let's see. Compile time polymorphism achieved using method overloading or operator overloading, resolved at compile time. Next is a runtime polymorphism. It is achieved through method overriding, resolved at runtime. Okay, let's now move on to the next one. What is the difference between object oriented programming and object based programming? Okay, so see, these are two different words. So sometimes these kinds of tricky questions can also be asked, so you should be aware about it. Let's see the differences. So first of all, we'll see what is object oriented programming. So object oriented programming does not have built in objects. Okay, whereas object based programming has built in objects. Next is your object oriented programming follows all loop concepts like polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance, and abstraction, whereas object based programming does not support all loops concept. It supports only objects and encapsulation. Example of object oriented programming is Java, C, whereas object based programming is JavaScript, Visual Basic. So basically what we usually talk about is object oriented programming only, right? So object based programming is something which you should know, but it is very rarely asked, but this kinds of comparison based questions can arise. Okay, let's now move on to the next question. What is a constructor? Again, a question from OOPS. So a constructor is a special method that is automatically invoked when an object of a class is created. It is used to initialize the state of an object. So constructor, as we all know, it is automatically invoked when the object of the class is created, and it has the same name, right? Let's now move on to the next question. What is try and catch block? So basically try and catch block, try blocks contains the code that might throw an exception, and catch blocks handles the exception if it occurs. They are used as exception handling to catch errors and provide solution. So basically, as soon as you heard the word try and catch block, you should be saying this word, that is exception handling. Okay, they are used majorly for exception handling. And guys, for these kinds of questions, you do not have to say a very long answers. This much small answer is fine. Okay, and if the interviewer wants you to speak more, then you can say. Okay, but too much of long answer is also not necessary. So let's move on to the next question now. What is macro faster than function? Why is macro faster than function? Okay, so see, we have macros and we have functions. So why macro is faster than function? Basically, let's see the answer. Macro is faster than function. Macros are faster than functions because they perform text substitution directly at the source code level, avoiding the overhead of function calls and stack management that happens within the function. Basically, what macros does is they perform text substitution directly at the source code level. Because of this main thing, it is faster than functions. Okay, let's see the next question that we have. What is the difference between DDL and DML commands in DBMS? Okay, so DDL stands for what? Data definition. Okay, this is data definition, and DML is what? Data manipulation. Okay, so manipulation. Basically D and L are same, data and language, but the D in here difference for definition, and M stands for manipulation. Let's see. Data definition language is used to define or modify database structure, whereas data manipulation language, it is used to manipulate data within the database. Okay, see, it is modifying the structure. Understand this thing, very important. Okay, this is very important. DDL is like mainly responsible for modifying the database structure, whereas DML, which is manipulation is happening on data level. Okay, which is manipulating the data. Okay, so that is why I'm writing data level and not on the structure level. Next is your affects the entire table. It affects one or more rows because it is working on the data, right? Commands that we have in DDL are create, alter, drop, and truncate, whereas the commands that we have in DML are insert, update, delete, and select. Okay, let's now move on to the next one. What is SDLC? Okay, so SDLC, so first of all you should know about SDLC. SDLC is a very common interview question. Okay, so I would highly suggest that spend some time on it. Okay, so if you feel that this content is less, you should like search it over the internet. Okay, you should at least give a read about it. Okay, software development lifecycle. Okay, so let's see what is SDLC. SDLC is a structured approach to software development, and it includes several phases such as requirement analysis, design, implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance. See, no one is going to ask you in detail, but you should also be aware about every phase also. Okay, what is requirement analysis phase, what happens in that, what happens in designing phase, what happens in implementation phase. Basically, it is very easy. Okay, you just have to read it once and you will remember it easily. Now in SDLC we have different models. Okay, most popular ones are agile model. Okay, So you might get a question on agile model in detail, they can ask you, but the rest they won't ask in much detail, but still you should know. Okay, so the different models that we have are waterfall model, agile model, spiral model, V model, and iterative model. One of the most popular and the most commonly used is agile model. So this is important. So you should like study this one a bit like in detail other than the rest ones. Okay, let's move on to the next one. What is purpose of multi-threading? Okay, again a concept from OOPS. Multi-threading enables the execution of multiple threads simultaneously, which helps in maximizing CPU utilization and perform multiple tasks concurrently, improving the overall system performance. So multi-threading is a very important and a very beneficial concept basically that we have, where what happens, multiple threads are executed simultaneously. Okay, which means if a task is executing, so one thread of a task is executing, so when it is on hold, then other task will implement. So this way multiple tasks can perform concurrently. This improves the overall system performance a lot. Okay, otherwise without multi-threading, what will happen, one task will complete and then the second one will start and then the next one will start. So this one this process was very time consuming and it takes a lot of time, but multi-threading get rid of this problem. Okay, let's see the next one. What is indexing? Okay, very basic question, but you should know it. Indexing in database is a technique to optimize the retrieval of rows from a table based on search conditions. Now there are different types of indexing that we have: primary indexing, secondary indexing, cluster indexing, and multi-level indexing. Again, you should know every indexing in detail. Okay, so please give it a read. If you don't know, go to the internet, search for it and then give it a read. Okay, it is important. Let's see the next one. What are types of joins? Okay, there are different types of joins that we have in SQL: inner join, left join, right join, and full join. Now left join is also called as outer join. Okay, these are outer join. Now these joins also you should know in detail. You should also know one example query based on these joins. Okay, these are that important. Let's see the next one that we have. What is memory management? So memory management refers to the process of efficiently handling computer memory resources, including allocation, tracking, and deallocation. It ensures that the memory is utilized effectively and the system doesn't run out of memory. Okay, let's now move on to the next one. Next one is a coding based question. Okay, let's see that. So we have to write a program for bubble sort. Okay, so bubble sort is a sorting algorithm. Just in case if you are not aware, what it does is we are given a sort like array which is not sorted. For example, we have 5, then 2, 4, then 1, 3, something like this. Now after sorting, the array should be something like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we have to write the implementation code for bubble sort. Let me tell you a very high level approach of bubble sort. How does it does the sorting? It compares the two, like at the moment it compares two like array elements. Okay, like 5 and 2 will be compared and it will see 5 is greater less than 2, no, so then it will swap it. Okay, so it will do this thing. So this much it will swap and then it will move forward. So next one will be what, 5 and 4. It will again compare these two and again it will swap them. So in this way it will based on swapping. Okay, it works on the concept of swapping. Okay, let's see the code for it here. We have an array and the size of the array. Okay, basically, so what we are doing, this is basically for we are printing the array that we have. Okay, displaying the array basically, and then we have this main function. We are given this array with multiple elements in it. We are calculating the size of array by this thing, size of array and size of array of one element. Now printing before bubble sort. So initially whatever our array is, we are printing that, and then we are writing our logic for bubble sort. This is the main logic of bubble sort. Rest everything is fine. This is the main logic. Let's see. We have variables I, j, and temporary. Basically what I told you, right? We need to perform swapping. And how do we usually perform swapping? We need two variables and one more temporary variable which will store the values, right? So see, we are running two loops. Okay, from 0 to I is less than size minus 1 and I plus plus, and then j is equals to 0, j is less than size minus I minus 1, j plus plus. If our array of j is greater than array of j plus 1, then I told you we need to perform swapping. Swapping is nothing but first of all we will store our element value, like 5 is there, so 5 will get stored in temp variable. Okay, and then in this array of 0 we will have our next value which is array of 1, which is 2, right? And then array of 1 will have our next value which is temp, which is 5. So in this way swapping will happen. Okay, so finally this both loops will run and the entire array will be sorted, and finally we will just print out our sorted array after bubble sort and we will display our array. Okay, hope you have understood it. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the comment section. So guys, that's all for today's videos. Hope you found it helpful. If you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment section. Make sure to join me on Telegram, and you can even follow me on Instagram and ask your queries in the Instagram DM as well. And guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so that you don't miss any important updates from the channel. So that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching the video.